you beautiful creators, crocheters, knitters, sewers, stabbers, all of you who dabble in the fiber arts. It's been a while. I'm happy to be back. Life got a little crazy. In a good way, I got a job, so I've finally worked out a schedule for me to record these videos, and I hope you stuck around. And if you're new here, I've got 2 videos you can go back and check out in the catalog. Otherwise, welcome, and let's get started. So today's episode is going to be about looking at projects that are in progress. I am not a monogamous knitter or crocheter. I have quite a few projects going at all times. And when you do that, sometimes certain projects kind of fall to the wayside. So I'm here today to look at my projects that have kind of passed into the hibernation zone and decide if I'm going to finish it or frog it. So the first one I have, I think I've already made my decision on. I actually got quite far in it. It's a shawl, crocheted. I will link the pattern below because I don't remember the name of it right now. But the colors just aren't really my scene. Like I had the colors for a different project. I found this one and thought I really liked the project, and then I thought, oh, I'll use these colors for that. It kind of came out as a red, white, and blue, and I don't really need a shawl that I only wear like 2 or 3 times a year for patriotic holidays. so yeah, I think I'm going to probably frog this one. I don't know, I might even just throw this away because, I mean, it's all cut short for each of the squares. I don't know, maybe I'll check with my knitting group, see if anybody wants to finish it. I can give them the supplies and let somebody else take a crack at it. I actually received somebody else's I actually received somebody else's unfinished project, and I'll go ahead and grab that to show you. So yeah, this one's, I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to pass it along or frog it so it can go. Somebody else's grandmother's project. So this one, we have a bunch of these little squares in cream, and it looks like they didn't join any of them together, so they're all loose. There's quite a few of them. I don't have the original yarn, so what my idea is to take the existing squares that they made and try to reconstruct. It's got a cute little bobble stitch on it, just to try to figure out what the stitches were and remake the square but in bright colors, and make a blanket, a little lap blanket, with alternating bright colored squares with the cream. And then I didn't tell her this, but then I'm going to give it back to her and her husband, because it was his mother's project, so I thought that they might find that special. So that's that one. That one I'm keeping, because it's not my unfinished project, it's somebody else's. So it kind of inspired me to give that other project to see if anybody else wants to finish it rather than frogging it. It's a choice. Let's see, another project I started a long time ago. I'm so close to finishing. It is a shawl similar to the Lost Souls shawl. It's got the little skulls, and then around the edges I added these butterflies or moths, and as you can see, the pattern is kind of hard to read. The skulls are a little floppy. I made the chains a little too long, and so I've been waiting on this project because I've been trying to decide if I want to rip it all out and redo it right, or if I want to just finish it the way it is, knowing that the person who receives it will probably be fine with it. It's really it's my personal perfectionism that's keeping me from finishing it. So I'm still thinking about this one. I haven't decided if I'm going to frog it or just finish it as it is. But it's quite a beautiful shawl. I love the color. Yeah, there's a lot of work in it. So the decision to go back and do it all over again is really hard, but sometimes it's the right decision, especially if you're going to be happier with the finished product. So this one is going to still sit on the shelf. I don't think I'm going to frog it yet, but I'm going to keep thinking about it. I don't know. You can give your advice. Would you finish it and just kind of let the mistakes be as they are, or would you frog it and start over with the shorter chains that make sure that that skull fits tightly in the frame? So I'm happy to take advice on this one. It was like 2 birthdays ago that I started it, and like it's going on to be next year's birthday present at this point, or Christmas present. So I'd like to finish it. I'd like to give it to her. Yeah, but it's frustrating. I'm sure you all can understand that when you get through a project and it's not quite what you envisioned it would be, but you've already put so much work into it. Speaking of projects that didn't quite turn out as you envisioned, I have the dreaded single sock. I think everybody's got a single sock hanging out somewhere waiting for you to get over second sock syndrome. Maybe not everybody, definitely me. So this was the first sock, and again I'll link the pattern. I think it's called Wandering Daisies, so I will link the pattern in the show notes. But I love this sock. It's beautiful. However, I made it a little too long. It's about an inch too long. So I'm trying to decide the best way to fix it. It was done toe up. I do remember. It was done toe up. So my thoughts are maybe to do some surgery on the toe and make it smaller. But I don't want to go on to the second sock until I solve the problem of whether or not I'm okay with it being too large. Because larger, they're kind of like slipper socks, but I really wanted to wear these with like my boots. So yeah, still thinking about that. And then I just want to show off this beautiful yarn. I got it at the state fair a couple of years ago, and I just absolutely love the colors. So I think I want the project to be perfect. You always want the project to be perfect, so I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do with this one. But I just kind of came up with the idea that maybe I could do some sock surgery, redo the toe. That might solve my problem. But I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm going to ask my knitting group, get them some advice. It's always good to get advice from other knitters, see what they would do. It's amazing how, everybody will solve a problem, 100 different ways. So we'll figure that one out. Another sock in progress, I actually haven't even finished the first one yet, is this cute little color work. I don't know if you can quite see it yet, but it's going to be a little owl. And yeah, I started this one and then I just kind of fell off the train of working on it and moved on to other projects, and it's just kind of been languishing in the bowl. I think I'm definitely going to finish this one. It's too cute. But yeah, this year has been interesting because I've been doing a lot of projects for myself, a lot of projects for others, and a lot of times the projects for others take precedent and priority over my projects for me. And so I'm trying to knit more for myself also because I deserve it. But it's hard when you have deadlines. So like one of the things I've been working on is a sweater pattern. And I think I showed this before, but I will share it again. I'm working on a sweater pattern inspired by Shakespearean plays, and this one is inspired by Hamlet. So we have the skull and the flowers decorating around the edges, and then we have, and if these don't show up I'll put up pictures, we have some daisies, some violets, some rue. So I've been working on this pattern for a while. I started knitting, I finished the charts and started knitting the bottom of the sweater. And then I just started Christmas knitting and doing other projects, and it kind of got, again, pushed to the side. But I've been really interested in getting my pattern business off the ground. I have a few colorwork pattern hats in the works, and I've got this sweater, and I want to do some other floral like accessories, mitts, cowls, socks, things like that. So I'm trying to, again, prioritize that over gift knitting, which again is just so tempting. I just love gift knitting. I love knitting for others. I took the knitting muse test and I was the giver. So it's just, you know, it's who I am. You do what you do. Speaking of gift knitting, I've been working on this is gift crocheting. I've been working on a big blanket, a queen size blanket version of Charlotte's Dream for my mother. And I'm up to the point where I'm finally turning them into little squares, and the next round will put the square on, and then I will be able to move on to part 2. Very excited about that. I've been working on this for about 1.5 years now. I think it's like 42 squares, and the way I've been doing it is instead of finishing each square, I do each round or 2 rounds, however long before the color break, for every single square, so that I have the pattern memorized in my head, and I found that that's worked very well for me. It makes it hard to see the progress because, you know, I don't have any finished squares yet, but I do feel like this definitely was the correct method for me to have the most enjoyable time doing the crochet. So I'm really, really loving this pattern. It's really fun to do. And then in other gift knitting, I'm working on, and don't tell my sister-in-law, she doesn't watch this channel, but for my niece and my sister-in-law, I'm doing a set of Mommy and Me sweaters. So I have a sweater, and again, I will link the pattern in the show notes. I did modify the pattern quite heavily, but the tulips are all part of the original design, and I followed the pattern for the button band, but I changed the collar and the cuffs and the bottom. So I will try to put pattern notes on my project page on Ravelry as well, which I still need to make. But here's the baby sweater, and Mommy's sweater is still being worked on. Yes, if you can do math, we are like 7 days out from Mother's Day, which is my goal. I'm a little crazy when it comes to knitting sweaters. I knit them really fast, so my goal is to try to have it done. I've only got the back piece done, but my goal is to have the whole sweater done by Wednesday and get it shipped off, but we'll see if that happens. Yeah, it's a challenge, but I have a backup date. My niece's birthday's this month too, so if I don't get it out by Mother's Day, they don't know it's coming, so they won't know the difference, and I can go ahead and just give it to her for her birthday. But, you know, we gotta speed knit our way through things sometimes, so I'm working on that. In addition to knitting, I've also been doing some needlepoint. I am an avid D&D player, love it, love playing role-playing games of all sorts, and so I made myself a dice tower out of the plastic canvas, and so I just patterned out the pieces, cut them out, and sewed them together with white yarn, but this is humdrum and boring, so I decided I was going to cover it with embroidery. Now, I could have embroidered directly onto the canvas, but I wanted something a little more elegant, so I'm working on a flower sampler. I don't know if you can see. All sorts of different style flowers. And I'm also working on, let's see, I've got a zinnia here for the next piece. But yeah, that's just another project that I've got going. I really can't be monogamous to a craft. I like to paint, I like to do all the different fiber arts. Now I'm also, I guess it's not creating or crafting, but I'm also taking care of my plants, so maybe I'll take you on a garden tour. So out here on my balcony we have my mint. These were my daffodils, but now they're just leaves. I have aloe, I have, oh, my little signs fell down, my thyme, my sage, some rosemary. If you can't tell, this is an herb garden. I'm very excited because I planted some ginger, and if you can see the teeny itty bitty little greeneries finally popping up. And then I've got some basil, oregano. My French lavender's really growing in great, so I'm going to repot the other two, the Spanish and the English lavender, and let that French lavender take over the big pot. That's it for the sharing show and tell portion of the video. I have a few pieces of show news. I am going to be trying to release a show every other week because I feel like that's the pace at which I'm knitting, where I'll have more interesting projects for you to look at. I am going to continue to share my process of making my own patterns, so I think the next video is going to be showing you some of the charting that I did and discussing like how I developed my pattern making style, and I'm brand new to it, so this may be the completely wrong way to make a pattern, but I'm learning along the way, so you get to learn with me. And of course, if you are a pattern maker and you have advice, I'm happy to take it. I'm wide open. So please comment below or send me an email. I'm happy to respond and chat with you about anything. So, well, within reason. But that's all I have for us today. So this was kind of a short one, but I really enjoy speaking with you. The response to my videos so far has been great, and I hope you have a wonderful time crafting.